of State, Officer Dykes identified Mr. Tony Bayham III as the owner of the company. Further inquiry with the State Plumbing Board, staff confirmed that Mr. Bayham previously held a journeyman plumber's license, JP number 5361, which was valid through 2023, but he was listed as not currently working in the trade. As of March the 10th, 2025, Mr. Bayham holds a renewed license but continues to be listed as not working in the trade. Violations: Mr. Bayham was cited for 1 count of advertising plumbing without a proper license, 1 count of operating a plumbing business without a proper license. On February the 5th, a citation letter was issued detailing the violation and assessing an enforcement fee of $1,000 due by March the 5th, 2025. On March the 7th, 2025, Mr. Bayham responded to the citation and submitted a formal request to appeal via email. On April the 2nd, 2025, an email confirming his appearance at the scheduled board meeting was sent. And on May the 5th, 2025, an email reminder was issued. Mr. Bayham is present.
Thank you for being here today, Mr. Bayham. You go ahead and state your case now.
Yes, sir. No, most of that is correct. I'm in the process of getting my master's. I didn't personally put the ad on the site. My wife did, unknowingly. As soon as I saw she did it, I had her take it down. I am in the middle of trying to get everything set up so that I have everything like I need to. I actually have the paperwork in to take the test here. I think it's in August, I want to say. But that was just an unbeknown thing by my wife. It wasn't something that I did personally. So it was just something that happened, and I didn't know about it until after it was done.
Outside of the advertising, why did you indicate on your license renewal that you weren't working in the trade when in fact you are working in the trade?
Well, I'm not. I'm actually working on trying to get into it, like, and open my own business. But at the time, I was not working. My wife just took it upon herself to try to advertise and move forward, and not knowing anything better than that. But I didn't personally put forth any kind of advertisement.
Well, you have an active LLC for a plumbing repair business.
Yes, sir. I have to. Yes, sir. But if you look at the paperwork, it tells you have to have all that in before you get the plumbing license to have it active and get it going. So that was my understanding.
So your testimony is that you are not doing any kind of actual plumbing work in the state of Indiana?
Not this time. I do sub work out from different people off and on, but not under elevated plumbing, no, sir.
What do you mean sub work out?
Certain plumbing companies will call me and I'll go finish a job for them, something like that.
That's not legal.
Not legal.
Wasn't aware.
You can't do sub work. That's also illegal. You can't do sub work without a master's license in the state of Louisiana.
Not even under their license?
No.
Really? I was not aware of that. Yeah, no, I didn't know. I thought that was something, you know.
Any other?
You have to be a master plumber to sub work.
I'm not subbing it. I'm taking work from other people. I'm just saying I didn't understand.
You can't.
I make a motion we uphold the fine.
Second. I have a motion from Terry Smith to uphold the fine, second by Trey Giglio. All those in favor say aye. Oh, I'm sorry.
Nope, you're good.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Bayham will contact
Mr.
you.
Baum.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Thank you. Also,
You good. You good.
can I ask a question? Is there any way we could reach out to Mr. Baum and Bayham, I'm sorry,
It's okay.
and educate him a little bit about
So we reach every person that you guys serve anything to, we reach out to them after. So we go over what their fine is, what questions they have about why they were cited in this manner, that goes all that.
I just wanted to be sure we do our due diligence.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I could ask another question. On his fine, will he be required to clear that up before he can take the exam and go further, or what is the policy on that?
So the actual policy is he can actually set up a payment plan, but as long as he is complying with whatever order it is that you guys have put in into place, he would still be able to continue to use his license and test. Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Moving on, Mr. Joseph Perry, please approach the podium. Stan, can you please read the report in the record?
Case number 11373-9122, 9123, and 9124. Mr. Joseph Perry, February 19th, 2025, Enforcement Officer Glenn Grimion investigated an advertisement, Handyman Joe, on Lake Charles Information Station's social media page. Officer Grimion located the contact information for Handyman Joe and spoke with Mr. Joseph Perry, the owner. When asked if he was a licensed plumber, Mr. Perry confirmed he was not. Mr. Grimion then showed Mr. Perry a photo of completed plumbing work and asked if he had performed the work. Mr. Perry acknowledged that he had, stating it was done for a friend, and inquired if there was any issue with the quality of the work. Officer Grimion advised Mr. Perry that it is a violation to perform plumbing work without holding a valid license and registering with the State Plumbing Board of Louisiana. Mr. Perry stated he did not know that he could not do plumbing work and was very cooperative with the investigation. Mr. Perry was cited for 1 count of master plumber work without a license, 1 count of operating plumbing business without a license, 1 count of advertising plumbing work without a license. On March the 26th, 2025, a citation letter was issued detailing the violation and assessing an enforcement fee of $1,500 due by May the 1st, 2025. On April the 7th, 2025, Mr. Perry responded to the citation and requested an appeal. April 16th, 2025, Mr. Perry submitted a formal request to appeal via email. May 6th, 2025, an email reminder was issued. Mr. Perry is here today, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for being here today, Mr. Perry. Go ahead and state your case, please.
So I'm here today. I ain't got $1,500, okay? I'm 31 years old. I got 4 children. I got laid off in November, so I said, you know what? I'm a journeyman carpenter, journeyman power driver in that trade. So I said, let me do a little handyman work here and there. I had no idea that it was illegal to do plumbing at all. I used to work for Doe Tree Plumbing out of Chalmette, Louisiana in like 2014, 2015. I worked there for about a year and a half. Had a family friend call me up and say, hey man, look, I got a little outdoor kitchen I need help with. You know, you mind coming over and helping me? I said, you doing a little business here and there? I said, no problem, you know. Got up, went over there, and did everything. He helped me the whole time. The owner of the home helped me throughout everything. I didn't do it all by myself, but I'm like, once I was done, I liked what it looked like. And like I did all the podiums and all that by myself for the tub and the toilet and all of that. And, you know, I said, well, shit, it looks good. I'm going to post it and try to make some money on it. Well, about a week, 2 later, well, a couple weeks later, I get a call from the sheriff's office because my father-in-law knows the cop that, I forgot his name, was looking for me. And he called me, my father-in-law called me, and then I called the sheriff's officer, and he says, look, you need to get in touch with this guy. So I said, all right, called him up and got his name. I said, hey, you're looking for Handyman Joe? He says, yeah, is this him? I said, yes, sir. He goes, well, can I speak to you? I said, yeah, whenever. He says, but where can I meet us in my house? You know, just come on over. I don't know what's going on, you know. He came and he asked me all these questions. I said, I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah, I did it. He goes, well, it's illegal. I didn't know even, like he said, even breaking a seal on a P-trap, 100% illegal. If it ain't in your house, you don't touch it. Well, I did not know any of that. And like as you can see, the day he left, that post got taken down on my little business cards because now I got an LLC. It's under Joseph's Handyman LLC now. Before that, I didn't even have it. And on my little business card, I scratched out plumbing. You can't see it. Took it off my Facebook page, took the pictures down. And people ask me to do plumbing. Nope. I mean, you got to call a plumber for that. Even for leaking, I don't care what it is. I ain't touching it because I'm But I'm just saying, look, I know I did wrong. Now I do. I don't have $1,500. I got 4 kids. I'm struggling as it is. I was seeing if y'all can help me out or something. I'm not saying I don't want to pay it at all. I understand I did wrong. But I ain't running a plumbing business. I'm just running a handyman service. I did advertise, you know, but all that's taken down. Like, you can go on my Facebook page now. I should have brought a business card with me so you can see that it is scratched out. And I ain't touched a piece of plumbing since. Mr.
Chairman, if I could ask one question, Mr. Perry, just for the record. You're stating that you unknowingly performed the work, correct?
Yes, I didn't know it was illegal. I got $300 from the judge. That's what he gave me for helping him. He gave me $300, and I'm like, that $300 ain't worth $1,500. And,
Thank you, Mr. Perry.
You know, I didn't know it was illegal at all. I got, you know, it was just, and I just started this little thing, and I'm like, and now I got a $1,500 fine. And I asked her, I said, what else is illegal? You could do anything else except plumbing.
Electrical.
Oh, I don't mess with electrical. I'm scared of electricity.
All right, is there any more discussion from the board? Is there any more discussion from the board? So
You
that being
mentioned,
said,
you mentioned, if I have one thing, Mr. Chairman, you mentioned outdoor kitchen. We're looking at photos of a brand-new bathroom rough in. I
Yes,
mean,
it was an outdoor kitchen. So what it is it was a shop that he had, okay? And what he wanted was a bathroom. Like, it wasn't supposed to be that big of a tub at the beginning when he called me, but he wound up getting it off Facebook Marketplace for $100. He's like, well, shit, I'm gonna go ahead and build it. You know, go ahead and put it in. $100 saves a lot of money. It wasn't supposed to be a full-blown thing, but it wound up turning out to be. But I wasn't, you know, I was just starting out. I didn't think nothing was wrong with it.
is it your testimony that this job we're looking at is the only plumbing job you've done? Or
Yeah,
are you going to
I ain't
tell us,
touched shit.
or have you been doing plumbing work as Handyman Joe outside of this one job?
No, I ain't done nothing since then. I was the first one and the last one. The last time I did plumbing work was with Dotreve Plumbing, you know?
any further discussion?
I make a motion to reduce it to $750, just because I'm believed it this time.
I have a motion from Terry Smith to reduce the fine to $750.
Next time I say,
Yes.
you know, I feel you're painted about not making a whole lot of money, you know, but our job is, we got journeyman plumbers out there that have 4 kids, they got hard times,
Mhm.
and we're here to protect them. So if we let everybody come in here, you gotta realize what.
No, I'm not mad at you. I understand.
I'm not mad either. You gotta realize what we're looking at is, you know, we gotta protect them. And if we let you and everybody else get away with half price and no payment, then everybody's doing it. And that's where I'm at with it. And it's nothing personal.
No, I
And
understand.
I'm just looking out for the journeyman plumbers and master plumbers in the field.
Yeah, I called a good friend of mine. He owns his own plumbing
And you
business.
worked for a plumbing company before,
Yeah,
so.
I ain't never got told it was
You
illegal.
learned how to put these pipes together, you should have learned the rules.
All right, I do have a motion on the floor. Do I have a second?
I'm gonna withdraw my motion. I make a motion, we uphold the fine. Second.
I have a motion to uphold the fine by Terry Smith. I have a second by Mr. Wayne LaFleur. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Sorry, sir. The fine will be upheld.
So $1,500? Is there a payment plan I can get on or something?
Yes, sir, we'll contact you and, we'll convey that to you, sir.
All right, thank y'all. Y'all have a blessed one.
Thank you as well.
Moving on to, Mr. Joseph Stanford Jr. If you're here today, please approach the podium. I'm sorry, sir? Stephanie. Apologize for that.
No. You're not the first, you're not gonna be the last.
Ms. Diana, can you please read for the record?
Case number 11286-9035 and 9036, Mr. Joseph Stephanie Jr. On June the 5th, 2024, Enforcement Officer Nicholas Dykes conducted a site inspection near the 200 block of Telemachus Street in New Orleans, Louisiana. During the inspection, and Officer Dykes observed a service vehicle displaying the address 2704 Woods Drive in Violet, Louisiana, and marked with LMP number 1715. He also witnessed an individual loading supplies into the vehicle. Upon further inquiry, the staff at the State Plumbing Board of Louisiana confirmed that LMP 1715 is registered to Mr. Joseph Stephanie Jr., who currently holds an inactive master plumber license with a retired status, and confirmed that the address matches Mr. Stephanie's records. A follow-up of the site inspection at the address associated with Mr. Stephanie did not reveal any visible signs of an active plumbing business. Officer Dykes attempted to contact Mr. Stephanie using the phone number listed, on the vehicle, but was successful. Mr. Stephanie was cited 1 count of advertising without a proper license, 1 count of operating a plumbing business without a proper license. October the 1st, 2024, citation letter was issued detailing the violation and assessing an enforcement fee of $1,000 due November the 1st of 2024. October the 23rd, Mr. Stephanie responded by phone and was informed of the appeal process. January the 6th, Mr. Stephanie submitted a letter requesting that this matter be considered moot. April the 2nd, 2025, a letter was to appear before the board was issued by mail. May 6th, 2025, an email reminder was issued. Mr. Stephanie is present, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you for being here today, Mr. Stephanie.
Yes.
Could you please state your case?
Okay. Back in December of 2022, I had knee replacement surgery at about my 40th year within my trade. Most of it as a master plumber, first 9 years, 11 years as a journeyman plumber. I went ahead and filed for Social Security because I didn't feel as if with the arthritic condition that I've got that I wasn't going to be able to work. So for the better part, I shut down my company. I took the name of my company off the truck. I didn't think to any reasonable person that LMP, my address and telephone number, would indicate to any reasonable person that I was in the plumbing trade. I didn't think of it. You know, somebody would call me, well, what service do you provide? I don't provide any service. I just never really thought of it. I did leave my license inactive in case my health ever got better in order to go back and do regular work, of which it hasn't. Actually, my knees have gotten worse, and within the next year or so, I'm gonna have to have the other leg replaced, other knee replaced. I do some plumbing work at my Legion Hall. I'm the only plumber over there, so I do free plumbing work over there for the members of at my post. If the toilet runs, I do it, but I don't get compensated. It's because it's my post. Just as if any of the other guys at the post would fix a toilet before I joined the post. I didn't think that would be in any violation of doing anything since I'm not compensated with that. I did leave my LLC status with the Secretary of State going for a couple years because, as I was told, in case any work that I previously done, having my LLC in place protects me. You know, they can go after the company, but they can't go after personal property on my side. So that's the only reason why I left that. But I don't have any accounts at any of the places. The 200 South Telemachus place, I stop in occasionally. Sometimes I do get stuff for the post. I'll get things from my house. But I've got a long-standing relationship with Dave Brown, the owner of that business, that goes back to the days of Modern Appliance when he was running that business. My inside guys, I stop off and talk to. Drink a cup of coffee, eat a donut, and the like. But I physically can't do the work anymore. I can't get down up on the kitchen sinks. I can't get up ladders any longer. Since then, I've had the address and the light pulled off. I've got proof on my phone of my truck. And I've also had the pipe racks taken off of the truck. It's just a Ford Connect van now. But no, I'm not. And I had no idea. Again, I figured I take off the name of my company. No one would call me up not knowing what service I provide, or if I provided a service, whether or not it was changing light bulbs or painting or whatever. I had no idea.
One question, Mr. Chairman. Sir, on the day that you were photographed loading pipe into your vehicle that enforcement officer has submitted,
I wasn't
what was
loading
going on
pipe.
that day?
I didn't purchase pipe. I didn't, no.
So your testimony was he just saw you at the supply house?
He saw me at the supply house, but I made no purchase that day. And I mean, and other than go to Ken Brown and Son, and if they've got a record, they can see that nothing was purchased from either Do Right Plumbing, which was, I had no account there anymore, or a cash sale, or a charge sale. No, I didn't purchase anything.
Mr. Dodds? Yes. Can you, Mr. Chairman, I have a question? Yes.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm also a master plumber, and I want you to look at my point of perspective. I don't want nobody calling me, so I'm not gonna ride around with my number on the van. And, you know, I understand you got injuries, I also need replacement, and I'm old too. But you have to look at it from our point of perspective of what's going on, and I'm not trying to do anything.
I understand, I get that. As I was telling the lady over the telephone, I said, you know, when I was growing up, my grandfather, who was a carpenter, he had his own company. On the side of his truck, he had hand painted his name, his telephone number, and his address. Actually, kind of a homage to my grandfather, but if I would have known that would have caused such, you know. Now, if I had Joe Stephanie, LMP 1715, I'm dead in the water. You got me. It's nothing that should be.
I get that.
But
from my point of view is, you're a master plumber, right?
Well, I was a master plumber.
Okay, so you know the rules, so from my point of view, you took the name off to kind of maybe scoot underneath the wire. That's just my thoughts. If that was the intent, I'd be in full agreement with you, but that was not my intent. Again, as I said, I didn't think anyone of any reasonable expectation passing by and seeing my vehicle would go, I don't know who that is, but I like his phone number. I'm gonna give him a call. I'm gonna find out what kind of service he provides. I never thought.
Just one more question, because
Yes, sir.
the truth is extremely important to me, I think to my fellow board members. We're looking at a photograph. I just want to be clear. We're looking at a photograph with a piece of pipe coming out of the truck with the door open. So what are we looking at?
May I show him the photo?
Please,
I
please,
never
please.
seen.
So if you could just explain what we're looking at so we can all be on the same page.
I have a color copy that might work better.
There's no pipe coming out.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Or if it's whatever that is, just tell us what that is.
I don't know, but that's not. From this, it's nothing that I can identify from this view, but I have no idea. I can't even see me being in the photo, or I don't know what the hell I could have even been doing at that point.
All right, can we ask Mr. Dykes what he witnessed?
Can I also ask a question? Because I want to make sure that we don't let this gentleman leave with a misunderstanding. I'm not really clear about this post work you're doing. But is it like a VFW post or
Yes,
a
ma'am.
Legion post?
It's a service, military service organization. I'm one of the members. I'm the president of the Veterans Club over there.
And so it's not affiliated with the government, it's a private club?
It's a private organization.
So I'm a little bit concerned about the work you might be doing there and whether there's no exemption for that work. I just want to tell you to be very cautious about performing plumbing work for any entity that's not your own home. You know the rules, be careful.
If, over there, if we have an issue, should I then ask one of the other members to do? And if so, am I endangering them?
About why we have licensure.
No, I understand.
I want to be clear why we have licensure. There are insurances and things in place to protect the public. And that's why these things are put into place. We have business owners across the state who do purchase these insurances to protect the public. You yourself, sir, do you have insurance?
On,
On your, for, if you were to,
at my
wreck somebody
Legion Hall,
from plumbing,
if I did work at my Legion Hall,
do you personally carry an insurance to do plumbing work?
no.
Okay.
No, I
There
dropped
is a problem
all,
in the entirety. Any other discussion from the board?
I just wanted to ask Mr. Dykes what he witnessed.
Yeah, Mr. Dykes?
At this point, Mr. Dykes, can you tell us your version of what happened at the day the speakers were taken?
Sir, you can stay right there.
You can stay there.
So part of what I normally do is I'll sit and watch for what appears to be unlicensed or unmarked plumbing service type vehicles outside of supply houses. In this case, I was sitting approximately a half a block down, Brown Sons Plumbing Supply House in New Orleans.
Mhm.
I saw the vehicle in question. It was a white, small minivan type service vehicle with the back doors open with a piece of blue, I'm assuming it's PEX sticking out. I photographed it. I waited a few minutes, and when I drove by, I saw the rear sign had the LMP and the phone number and such, and that's what prompted my investigation. But at the time, I didn't see anyone loading it. There was definitely pipes sticking out the back. It was outside of the plumbing supply house.
Thank you, Mr. Dykes.
I would make a motion, sir, if you entertain a
Okay,
motion.
well, is there any further discussion from the board? This time, I'll entertain a motion.
I will make a motion that we reduce the fine to $200, providing that Mr. Stefani submit a dissolve notice, filed with the Secretary of State for his LLC, and also providing that if he is cited again, he's required to appear before this board.
So for the record, one more time, Mr. Gigo, would you state your motion?
Reduce the fine to $200, providing that Mr. Stefani dissolve his LLC and provide proof that the LLC is dissolved with the Secretary of State, and require him to reappear before the board for any future citations.
You've heard a motion from Terry Giglio. Do I have a second?
Second.
Terry Smith, second. Terry Giglio's motion. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you for coming.
okay, I could take care of that with the Secretary of State and send a copy. Yeah, okay. Thank you for your time, I appreciate it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Believe me, what I did was not in any type of malice or any kind of advancement or anything, so, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, this time we'll move on to item number 7, committee reports. Please allow the record to reflect that unless the report is amended or there is an action item listed, there is no action necessary on committee reports. Okay? First thing on committee reports is A, formal notification of the nomination committee. This is the committee's formal notification to recommend chair and vice chair and treasurer for the board at the July 17th, 2025 board meeting. As you're aware, Mr. Fabra and previously Mr. Bourgeois sat on this committee. At this time, I would like to open the floor for the board to discuss on replacement of Mr. Carl Bourgeois.
I mean, I think it needs to be someone not from the trades, so.
I'll make a motion for, Terry Smith to serve on the
You
nominating.
don't have to have a motion, you
Oh,
just need to
I'm sorry.
volunteer.
Oh, I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Or you
Okay.
could
I think
suggest
we all-
someone, Mr. Giglio.
I would suggest, Mr. Smith.
Go ahead.
So if I could, I'm so sorry, because you guys are taking action on this, we opened it for discussion,
Yes.
then we closed for discussion, we opened
Okay.
for public comment, then we'll allow the motion.
So essentially what we're doing is having,
We're just gonna talk
board discussion.
openly. Okay, all right.
Board discussion on what we'd like to do.
Yeah.
Trying to be very.
Yeah, understood.
So is there any other board discussion that needs to take place?
I'm happy to do it.
Okay.
Or should we put, Mr. Chairman, should we put 4 people on there instead of just 2, or do you just want 2? or
I
what
think
you-
the two.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, that being said, if there's no other board discussion, I would like to open the floor for public comment, public discussion.
And no public comment.
No public comment. Well, that being the case, I would like to appoint, Terry Smith to the, negotiation committee.
Negotiating committee or nominating committee?
Nominating committee, I'm sorry. Well, when you mean on it, when you mean on it, I apologize for that.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
All right, moving next is the CPE committee report. I am chair of that committee, so I'd like to talk a little bit about what we did, yesterday. The committee was asked to look into, possible CPE requirements for, apprentices. As of right now, the laws that are in place are statutory, and we cannot, as a board, move on requiring apprentices to take continuing ed. That would have to be done in the legislature. So that being said, what I've tasked the committee to do is, we talked about some options, but what I've tasked the committee to do at our next meeting is to come up with some options that would not, that we could do, that would not lead to having to have litigation, versions of maybe an OSHA requirement or something like that. There were some things tossed around, but we wanted to do our due diligence, not just something on a whim. So at our next meeting, we will have some options for, it was mentioned that some of the major concern was health and safety, and I think that can be done without changing the laws of our board. So, yeah, Ms. Ashley, you want to say?
Sure. I do want to add to, so basically what the committee asked was, can the board, our board, enforce continuing education on apprentices? And there was some discussion regarding the differences between unindentured and indentured. And the answer is statutorily, no. So what you would have to do is the board would have to agree to file a bill essentially and then go into and make regulatory changes. I don't think that's necessary. I think the committee talked about, there was fear for a couple things. There was fear of the health and safety, which is why this education was brought forth. And then there was also clear discussion about organizations that you all serve on, essentially accepting money for those apprentices, which you don't want to put yourself into. So the committee essentially sat down and we talked about it, and honestly, it was my suggestion that, to allow the board to facilitate that education. So I think you guys are gonna sit down and talk about whether or not that's OSHA 10, is that some kind of previous exam? I know Texas has pre-exams, but I think that based on all of the commentary on the committee, what the concerns were, that's a real meet in the middle, if that's truly our concerns. So that's kind of where we're at, and I think Mr. Chairman, you guys had said that you would meet again and essentially at the August meeting, bring forth options for you all to move on, which we'll have to look and see how that education can be, I guess, enforced, by the board.
Okay, can I just clarify a question? I'm confused. So my understanding is that, I get the concerns on that, but my understanding is the board is gonna look at providing some CE for apprentices? Is that what you're saying? Or did I
Different types,
misunderstand?
Not per se required continued ed. One of the options that was spoke about was maybe offering, proving that you have an OSHA 10.
Okay.
Before you're able to
Gotcha.
take the journeyman exam.
Okay,
You can do that anytime during your apprenticeship.
okay,
Or anytime during your tenure before you take your license.
got it.
So,
Requiring some secondary certifications during the apprenticeship.
Sure.
Got it. Okay, understood.
Also, we reviewed the previously approved topics for the 2026 CPE year. These topics have already been approved by the board. We were just going on an overview, making sure everybody was still on the same page, and that went very well. Also, we went over the train-the-trainer location, which will be held in Baton Rouge, which we will take under old business. And that concludes my report on the CPE committee. Any discussion on those items? Okay. Moving on to exam committee. In an attempt to keep the board and public updated, the contractor completing the approved practical exam for the journeyman should have all 12 completed by the end of June. Okay. We will still need to complete the piping portion before releasing it to Baton Rouge and moving them to Shreveport for exams. Based on journeyman testing being full in October at this point, and the requirement for examiners and custodians to have training in January, it appears it will be the best interest of applicants and the board to roll out the exams starting January of 2026. So that's kind of where we are with the new practicals we approved. Any discussion on that matter? With that concludes my report on the exam committee. Then we're going to move on to letter D, building committee. Mr. Giglio, you provide your report, please.
Thank you, sir. Well, it's an exciting time for Shreveport and for the plumbing board as we have a building. And we are set to close on the building next Friday at 10 a.m. with a building committee scheduled for 11:30 a.m. This building is centrally located right outside of downtown Shreveport. It is close to many hotels and restaurants, so it'll be conducive to testing. There's not a lot of grass, so that means there's not a lot of maintenance. And as part of the real estate transaction, we are getting a new roof, which is valued at the quote for the roof was $100,000. So we're getting a new $100,000 roof. I think it's going to be really good. It has great curb appeal. It looks professional. So it should be very conducive toward the activities of the board. At the next committee meeting, the committee will meet and go through procedures for improvements to the building, as well as identifying those improvements that need to be made to make the building conducive for some part-time administrative work, for perhaps some meetings, but primarily for testing and what has to be done to get it up to speed for testing. But this will greatly improve the testing capacity, the testing frequency abilities in Shreveport. Once we complete that process and Shreveport is totally up to speed, then I think the building committee will finally turn back toward Baton Rouge to look at the Baton Rouge building and any improvements with leftover budgeted funds needed to make the Baton Rouge facility adequate for the purpose that this board determines. And that, barring any questions, that concludes my report, sir.
Do we have any other discussion on the building committee? There being none, we'll move on. Previous minutes. At this point, the board should have the opportunity to review the minutes from the December meeting.
Make a motion, we accept the minutes.
Is there any discussion before we take a motion. Is there any public comment before we make a motion about the minutes of the previous meeting? Terry, would you like to make a motion?
Make a motion, we accept the minutes.
Mr. Terry Smith made a motion.
Second.
And we have a second by Wayne LaFleur to approve the minutes of the previous meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Item number 9, financial reports. Ms. TA, can you please read the record and the board's financial report on behalf of Mr. Farber?
I can. This is the board's cash account summary for January, February, March, and April. So up until the end of last month, Whitney Bank checking account, $1,158,744. Whitney Bank savings account, $988,653. Petty cash, $155. We have 3 CDs. 2 have matured, one for $250,000, one for $100,000, and we have one that will mature in September, $69,000. The interest earned on those CDs to date is $1,796.40, bringing the board's total assets to $2,568,348.40.
All right, at this point, the board should have had the opportunity to review the budget. Is there any discussion from the board? Any discussion from the board? Hearing none, or close for discussion, is there any public comments? Any public comment?
No, sir.
There being none, before it's closed to public comment, I'll now entertain a motion for approval.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion for approval of the budget from Terry Smith. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Wayne LaFleur to approve the budget. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, and the ayes have it. Moving forward to item number 10, advisory committee report. Whoever I know we've been tasked with. Please state your name and at the podium and read your report in the record.
My name is Todd Murray. I'm here to read the report we have from yesterday's meeting for the advisory meeting committee. We called the meeting to order at 9 o'clock. They have made a motion to adopt the agenda. Richard Pollock and Mr. Ellis made a motion. Mr. Ellis seconded the motion. Motion carried. They made a motion to adopt the old business portion of it. Mr. Richard Pollock made a motion. Mr. Aubrey seconded. Then we went on to new business, which they welcomed me. They kind of threw me under the bus this morning, but or yesterday for this deal right out the gate, but it's okay. And so then we all that passed and motion carried and all that. So then we went on item B to discuss the WSPS endorsement for residential plumbers. It was a discussion about letting residential plumbers obtain a WSPS endorsement. Mr. Brand wanted to give up and-coming plumbers something to keep their interest in the craft. Mr. Richard Pollock stated he was not in agreement with lowering an expectation requirements for the WSPS endorsement. Chairman Joe Moranto read out the requirements set forth by the ASSE and revised a statute from the Louisiana state law. After reading the statute and requirements, Chairman Moranto said there was nothing the board could move on at this time since the WSPS endorsement required set by law, and nothing he could do with the state plumbing board. It had to been done in a different way. Jason Martin suggested we adding a hyperlink to the state plumbing board website showing the current laws with the state, so that if somebody was looking it up, they could find all those requirements. So, and at that time, there was no recommendations since the board couldn't move on this point. So at that point, we adjourned the meeting.
All right, is there any discussion for the advisory committee? Any at all? Mr. Todd Murray, I appreciate you being a part of the committee. and also presenting it your very first time. So, thank you. All right. Moving on to item number 11, Enforcement Officers Report. Mrs. Diana.
Enforcement Officer Stephen Campbell, Region A.
For the reporting period, had 1,266 miles, 200 hours, conducted 202 inspections, and 3 citations.
Thank you. Enforcement Officer William Easterling, Region A. Total miles 2,313, hours 200, inspections 294, citations 6. Enforcement Officer Nicholas Dykes, Region B.
My total miles driven was 2,844, total of 200 hours, 172 inspections, and 47 citations.
Enforcement Officer Glenn Grimion, Region D. Total miles 4,091, hours 179, inspections 125, and citations 15. Mr. Frederick Fontenot, Region E.
At 4,054 miles, 200 hours, 125 inspections, and 15 citations.
Enforcement Officer James York, Region F.
3,834 miles, 200 hours, 285 inspections, 10 citations.
Enforcement Officer Blaine Mott, Region I.
Good morning.
Morning.
I had 3,242 miles, 180 hours, 171 inspections, and 36 citations.
Does that conclude your report?
Yes, yes, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Sorry, thank you.
Next, Executive Director's report. Ms. Touye, can you read the report into record?
Hold on 1 second.
Does the citation column include warnings, or does that not include issued warnings? The count, I'm just curious.
The board actually doesn't have the authority to track an actual warning, so it's not inclusive of warnings.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Moving on to Executive Director's report. Ms. Touye, will you give your report, please?
Yes, sir. So I'll try and make this brief. I wanted to give you all kind of an overview of the 4 major bills that we've kind of talked about, what the bills do in brief, and in short, essentially, how they affect our board. So the first bill, which is 603, you all know, is essentially an appointment reform for professional licensing boards. So what the bill does is amend existing law to give the governor basically greater discretion when making appointments at various boards. We are not the only board. There's probably 20 boards listed on that bill, but essentially that's going to give him a broader scope. The bill removes the mandate and instead allows the governor to consider those association-provided lists when making appointments, but does not require selection from them. So it doesn't take away your authority as an association to essentially provide those 9 names or however many there are now. It doesn't take away your right, but it does allow him to no longer, it doesn't mandate him. He may or he may not choose from that list, but it would still have to be someone from your association. Okay, so Senate Bill 122 basically was a revision to the licensing board for contractors. So it was a big, extensive bill. Essentially, it removed some terms dealing with their members to not cause attendance issues. It changed some resident subcommittee terms from 3 to 6 years and increased maximum consecutive terms to 3 years. The licensing changes was pretty extensive. There is one item that deals specifically with our board. There's actually a couple things. One is an increased financial and documentation. So dual license contractors, so i.e. maybe a plumbing contractor and whatever other contractor's license that they hold, they now must have to meet an expanded net worth. So based on the bill and the way it reads, if you hold dual licenses, then they've expanded the net worth and the insurance. So I'm sure that most of you, or maybe all of you, hold a contractor's license. So basically what they've done is you hold dual licenses, you're going to be required to show more net worth in order to essentially gain licensure. Okay, and there was another item that I do want to put the board on notice about because it's very vague and it's specific to plumbing. And it's something that we should probably talk to the contractors board about because of its vagueness. And that always causes concern with the bill because it's easier amended later on. So there's, the bill retains an exemption and it's for licensed plumbing professionals acting within the scope of their license. So everyone that I've talked to, the exemption is supposed to prevent overreach by the contractors board, but in the bill, it doesn't notate what the exemption actually is. So I'm just putting you guys on notice. I've looked at it. There's no notation of what the exemption actually leads back to. The bill is currently, and I know some of you have been working on this bill also and following it and meeting with the contractors board, but it is currently pending the House of Commerce. So it's went through the Senate, it's going through the House. I'm still reaching out for clarification, but I do want to put you guys on notice that I like to have clear language when we write these bills to not leave us open to anything. And also, I'm kind of putting you on notice so that if you have contacts at the contractors board, I'd be very interested to know what that exemption actually is.
Can you send that out to us, that
Language that you're talking
Sure.
about, so we can be aware of it.
All right, Senate Bill 175, the reconstruct of the state plumbing board. Clearly, we all know what the key provisions are of that bill. So essentially where we are now is that bill will be pending House.
What are those provisions?
Those provisions are, current board consists of 11 members, 1 engineer, 1 inspector, and this is current law, 3 master plumbers, 3 journeymen, 1 residential plumber limited, and 2 public members, which have not been seated yet. Proposed law, which it's made it through the Senate, is that it keeps its 11 members, but will redistribute representation. So it's gonna keep all 11 members, but it's gonna move you guys around. You're gonna have 1 mechanical engineer, which you all know that mechanical language changed last year from engineer to mechanical. Those will be 3 nominees nominated by the Louisiana Department of Health. You have 1 plumbing inspector. That has not changed from 3 nominees of the LSU CCC. Previously, that plumbing inspector was being nominated through the Department of Health. That's now through the LSU CCC. There will be 5 master plumbers, 3 from a list of 9 from the PHCC, the Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors of Louisiana. 2 from a list of 6 by the Louisiana Pipe Trades Association. 1 journeyman plumber from a list of 3 by the Louisiana Pipe Trades Association. 1 residential plumber limited, which, as you're aware, last year that's been retained by the governor. and 2 public members. This bill did disclose that those 2 public members shall not, or must not, should be shall, must not earn a living in construction-related industries. All master plumbers must be listed as the responsible master plumber for their company. Eligibility and term changes, all members except the public must be licensed at the board at time of appointment. Board members will serve 6-year terms and remain in service after term expiration until a successor is appointed. Board leadership, chairman, vice chairman, and secretary treasurer elected for 2-year terms. Election date moved from July 1 to within 30 days of August 1st. I bring this up because we currently have a nomination board meeting scheduled in July. Depending on how this bill, should it be by governor's signature or should it have an August 1st effect date, that's going to depend on if we're going to continue with that July nomination date. So basically, if the bill becomes law prior to our meeting, we will need to change it within that 30-day period of August 1st, which is within August. So we're going to monitor that and keep you guys updated. The next item in board leadership that's changed is the chairman and vice chairman must be active master plumbers and responsible for their companies. And that is the conclusion of Bill 175. So,
I have a question.
Okay, if we go back to the contractors board bill, and you didn't address this, and I think there's a vague interpretation that we may need to be aware of. On the $10,000 limit, I think we were told there was a language change saying that essentially it always used to be if the plumbing project was over $10,000, obviously you had to have a contractor's license. I think they were trying to change some language to where if the project in total was over $10,000, so let's just say the project was, some people were interpreting that, and I'm not sure, so that's why I'm asking. Some people were interpreting if you had a $12,000 remodel job and the plumbing portion was just $2,000, you'd still have to have a plumbing contractor's license. Is that accurate, or what's that? Have you tracked that language change relative to the $10,000?
So what I do know in the language change from what I'm looking at, I don't have the bill pulled up. I have all of my notes, changing everything from legalese to something more plain. So essentially, I know for sure the language specifies that the requirements for net worth are changing. So the job, I don't have that in there, but everything that I have is showing net worth change requirements. So $50,000 net worth for minimum for most licenses, and then they've changed some improvement, mold remediation. And so the only point that I was making is based on this language in the bill that they're now trying to say that you need a net worth of XYZ. Now, the $10,000 language change, Mr. Giglio, I don't have that in here, but I can certainly look at it and see, because that affects how we educate our board. So can you tell me, just quickly, I'm sorry, in the bill, you're stating that they will be reducing?
There was a minor language change which could have an effect on whether just the plumbing project was $10,000 or any sub, not just plumbing, but electrical or what have you, as relative to the total being a piece of a total project that's over $10,000. I don't recall the exact language. It was kind of debriefed to me, but I think it is in there, so maybe we can look at it offline. But I know that will be a huge difference for our license holders. That would require many of our folks to have that license, and it just needs to be looked at to be sure we're even interpreting that right or wrong, or what it is.
It's going to be 122. I'll take care of that.
Yeah.
I'll send it to
Yeah.
all of you and we'll make sure that we stay on that.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, couple more things and then we'll clear it up. So Senate Bill 228, pretty much a complete well, it's a transfer of oversight, let's call it that. So LSU CCC is being basically transferred from the Department of Public Safety and Corrections to the Licensing Board for Contractors, and reconstructs the council's membership and administrative operations. So the key provisions of this bill that I found were transfer of administrative oversight. So you're going from DPS&C to the State Contractors Board. The executive director will also serve as the director of the council. Big job. And then the State Board of Contractors is also responsible for the staff to support the council's functions. So what they've done is the membership has been reduced from 20 to 17. The state health officer seat has been removed and replaced with 2 building code enforcement officers. And that new composition includes fire marshal, 1 seat for a plumber or electrician, and I understand there's going to be an amendment to add HVAC to that as well. So that's 1 seat that may go to a plumber, HVAC, or electrician. So as it stands now, the plumbing has its own seat. So that's going to be changing. Mechanical and structural engineers, residential and commercial contractors, licensed architects, 1 must be from the Louisiana AGC, representatives from the home builders, insurance, building officials, and code associations. Only 2 at-large members. So big change in the composition. The operational changes, from what I can see from the bill, is that they've pretty much noted that they're going to be domiciled in East Baton Rouge. Meetings are going to be held bi-monthly with options to meet more if requested by the chairman. Chairman term limit removed. Previously it was capped at 4 years. That's been removed. Removes requirement to reimburse members for travel or expenses, and governor may remove members for calls or for missing more than half of meetings in a year. So, as you all know, and that's a big thing. That affects our amendments to the code. That affects internally the State Plumbing Board as far as continuing education. If that committee had been working now, if that council had been working now, we would already be seeing amendments at this point. So I would imagine this is going to take some time. It is our goal to continue to operate for our exams and train the trainer under the last approved amendments to the 2021 codes. So that's where we will sit until they're able to start making changes. So that concludes that. I do want to put the public on notice, as well as I'm sure you've seen all of my emails. There is an abundance of executive orders from this governor, who is requiring oversight, more and more oversight. In fact, one of the orders this year for our legislative audit is actually for the auditor to come in and audit the board members' functions. So decisions that you've made based on the law, how we have essentially enforced those things. So it's a real big push to make sure that everybody, including yourselves and us as staff and license holders, are operating as we should. So we're combing through that. What we're essentially trying to do is put together, break down all of these emergency orders, put everything for you so that you can see, because we're gonna have to meet on these things. We're going to have to open for public comment. There's just a lot in these emergency orders that we're gonna have to do to comply with the new governor. And we're gonna keep you guys on track with that. That's nothing that you need to worry about. We're gonna put it together, give you a time frame of when these things need to be done, and do our due diligence to work with all of you to get it done. Okay, so I had already commented on the legislative auditor. We're actually beginning to do that. That starts in June. That is a big deal for our board. It takes about 3 months, I would imagine, based on the orders from the governor and how the auditors will audit us this year. It will be even more extensive. So I'm just putting you all on notice as a board and as the public. Those 3 months are I feel like extremely daunting, and I would just ask that you're patient with staff. Our previous findings have been minute in nature, so I'm feeling pretty confident about our internal procedures. And so when they come in, not only will they now be auditing our operations, but for some of you who are new to the board, they are going to look at how we comply. We comply with 12 Division of Administration agencies. So while we are all working for you as a board, we are working also for 12 other agencies. And so they come in and ensure that we're compliant with them, as well as human resources, accounting, and then they ensure that whatever laws that we put in place for a licensee, such as what you're required to turn in an application, they will at random pull those applications and ask to see that documentation that you approved it with. So it's pretty extensive, Mr. Wayne. I'll call you whenever it happens. You can come help. I think you need something else to do. So again, we're fixing to start our audit. We'll keep you up to date with that. Moving forward, lastly, I just want to notate that as far as internally, all of these other things that we're doing, the internal staff has been prepped with, being ahead of future testing in Shreveport. I know that we'll be testing this summer in Shreveport, but we're already working on what that can look like next year, what the cost of computers in Shreveport are going to will cost the board. So we're already ahead of that. So I'm quite pleased with that. And then, of course, should the board so move on the application process, online application process, we've already started our due diligence in office to ensure that rolls out as well. Mr. Chairman, this completes my report.
I did take a look at the language of the bill, and it does make the change you're describing, and it deletes, typically, the definition of plumbing contractor would include a person who installs, maintains, and repairs potable and non-potable tap water or sewer systems within a building structure or residential structure when the cost of the undertaking exceeds the sum of $10,000. Now it says for which the project value is $10,000 or more. And then if you look at the definition of project value, it defines the entire cost of the labor, materials, rental, and all direct and indirect project expenses. So I think you are right that under the current language, subject to amendment, because obviously this bill's still got to wind its way through, it would include many more, I think, of our contractors. So we do need to keep a close eye on that.
Yeah, that's a major, in my opinion, that's a major burden on our license holders, because therefore if they, again, if you have a $12,000 remodel and our contractors, our license holders go in and do a $300 job, they would have to have a contractor's license to do that, and that is that's quite the burden on the license holder. So yeah, it's interesting.
would pretty much, everyone have to have one.
Pretty much everybody, yeah. Yep.
Any more discussion?
It would be hard to imagine a job where the project wouldn't exceed $10,000 in today's world. So that might be language we
Yeah.
need to think about, and
I'll also, Mr. Chairman, just go on the record, I think probably all feel the same way, but I think it's quite something that you would have a code council that does not include a representative from the industry that you regulate the code for. Not quite sure how that works, but certainly think this industry should have a voice on that council.
this concludes my report.
All right, old business. Claiborne Building Quarterly Annual Meetings. This time we'll open the floor for board discussion only. Once the board completes their discussion, we will then call for public comment. Is there any board discussion on, this facility? I'm happy, Trey.
No, I'm just gonna say, I think it was a great job by the staff on identifying, this building, and two thumbs up from me.
Right. I do know that we have previously, accepted dates for our board meetings, and that the availability of the Claiborne building will not specifically align with those dates. So if we do choose to use this facility regularly, we may have to adjust those dates accordingly for, availability of this building. So I want to make the board aware of that. So, I mean, that's something we decide to do. Any more discussion?
Are we gonna stick with this time, the 8:30 time, or?
Discussion?
My only comment on the time was, do we think, I mean, I know our advisory council is very involved, likes to be involved in what we do, and some of them require travel in. So do we look at having a side room rented at this facility for advisory council prior to this board meeting, so we can have them and then this board like we have in the past, or just to include them more, or I'm just.
I do know that the travel is an issue. It's worked very well day of meeting. So, I mean, I know previously in Baton Rouge, it's always worked out well being able to have the advisory board meeting before the meeting. So if that is a possibility to facilitate that and have a 9 o'clock start time, I think that would meet everybody's needs. Do y'all like the 9 o'clock start time? Ms. Studia.
Mr. Chairman, if I could give you guys a background on this room, other than, we're kind of late in the game scheduling, which is what we're dealing with. This board, this room rents two ways. It rents $1,500 full day, or it rents $800 from half a day. So that's from 8 a.m. to noon, or from noon to 5 o'clock. So those are our only options with this room. And some of these dates you'll see, for instance, if you look under old business, I've kind of went through and given you a view of what our future dates look like. So if we could start with July, our July meeting, which is our nomination meeting, which is pending based on this legislation, which I stated earlier, it is not available. I suggested that you guys either, and previously you had wanted to hold it at the old office. We're happy to do that again, or we'll need to pick a different date. And then you can see August is available. You guys would be able to move on the August 21st date. Your December meeting, unavailable. but it is currently available for half a day on December 4th. So, again, we're coming in late in this. It may be beneficial and help myself and staff if, when you guys make your motion, we could, you guys have some discussion prior to about each specific date, because unfortunately, picking a blanket time or just a blanket date will not work. For instance, today, you know, the reason we're on a time frame is because this room ends at noon, so trying to keep all that.
My question about the 8:30 start time.
So, I'm gonna tell you, yesterday we opened up the State Plumbing Board's office to, the advisory board. They came yesterday, those who couldn't make it did a Zoom. We're happy to continue doing that. My only concern is that if you're renting, if you're allowing them to come in from 8 to 9, they're trying to conduct business and we're trying to set up, and it makes it difficult. So I think we would need to consider, if you want them here day of, we need to consider trying to put them, you know, somewhere else that's more professional, where they can have, you know, conversations, you know, between the committee.
So you're speaking like
Exploring one of the other rooms in the building.
And that's a possibility. It will cost more. I'd like to, basically, the rest of the year is gonna be up in the air. I don't know that we can set a specific, goal for these next meetings. I think the following year you can set goals, cause I'm a year ahead and can, you know, can block out the whole day or whatever it may be. And then you do have time for them to come in, use this before, and then us come in. You know, I think the cost is well worth it, but I just, for the rest of the year, I don't think you're gonna be able to set a standard, schedule, unfortunately, if you'd like to keep this room.
So to get the dates that we want or desire, it'd be better off to schedule a year in advance, correct?
At least, yes, sir. And like I said, we're late in the game. All of your big boards use this facility, so they're also scheduling a year in advance. So the earlier, the better.
So we wanna get together on these dates and make a motion for how we wanna attack those dates? Do we have some ideas?
So what's our option for July? You said that, you said they're booked for July 17th, is that correct?
Yes, sir, but they're also booked on every Thursday in July. So I know it's a step back, but we could certainly hold just nominations at our SPBLA office. And this also may be a non-factor. We may be having an August meeting and not a July meeting, but we will need to make a choice if that doesn't take place.
So can I just, these, on the old business on page 120 of the binders, it says Wednesday. Are these supposed to be Thursday dates?
That's my question also.
I'm confused, but I think these are Thursday, right? Thursday, is it July 17th, it's a Thursday?
That's a typo.
So all of these are
Yes.
Thursday days?
Yes.
Okay, so that's why I was confused, how are we moving it to I get it now, I'm there. So what you really need the board to do to consider a motion, if they want to use this building, to allow you guys to book it on dates that are available? Is that really what you're asking the board
Yes.
to do?
That's what I'm asking the board to do.
Use this building when it's available with our dates, but I'd make a motion that the July date, we just have it to one board, board. Due to the fact that every other Thursday is booked for July.
Terry, would you mind restating your motion for the
And
record?
maybe put your mic on, like, we couldn't hear you.
I make a motion that we, have the July meeting at our board due to the fact that every Thursday in July is booked. and that any open dates that we have that fits our schedule, we book here.
All right, we have a motion for approval of the survey by Terry Smith. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Mr. Brown. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Yeah. I'm gonna back up, guys. I gotta ask for public comment. I apologize. That's my fault. Is there any public comment?
I do have, one other thing that I wanted to add, maybe Mr. Terry would like to amend. He mentioned the July exam. The July date, the other two we can accommodate, but the, December 11th was not available, but the Wednesday, December 4th is. So what that would do, hopefully, if they haven't been booked by now, would allow me to book all of them except for the July.
I'd like to amend my motion that we go to December 4th.
Which is a Thursday. Yes. It's a Thursday too, not a Wednesday. Yeah, that's a typo.
And that's a Thursday, not a Wednesday, guys.
I was wondering about that. The Thursday, December 4th.
Yes, sir, thank you.
All right, is there any public comment?
On the room?
No, you must submit a
Yeah.
card. Oh. Do you have a comment, Mr. Ellis?
I was gonna bring up a suggestion.
Okay, hold on one moment.
Comment card, sir?
I don't have to, I don't even fill out a card. You're okay. I was just gonna recommend a place that's got a room as big as this, in this area, that you might be able to reach out to.
You can't come. You can do that offline if you like.
All right. Moving forward, is there any other public comment? There being none, Terry, would you restate your motion one more time? I apologize.
I make a motion that the July meeting be held at our plumbing board. And the December 4th, we have a December 4th meeting be held here. And whatever other meetings accommodate our schedule that we can have here, we have here.
Do I have a second for Terry's motion?
A second.
Mr. Brown made a second for Terry's motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And the ayes have it. Item B, trainer event location. The board reviewed please review the CPE trainer event location contact in your binder. This time we'll open the floor for discussion only. Is there any discussion on this item?
So where's the location?
In your binder, it's gonna be in Baton Rouge
Okay.
at the Crown Plaza.
Okay.
Faculty has done research on it. They found that it meets all the needs that we require, and found that to be one of our best options for the next CPE trainer. Any more board discussion? There being none, is there any public discussion? Any public discussion? There being none, can we, Chair will entertain a motion for approval?
Make a motion to approve.
I have a motion to approve by Terry Smith. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second for approval by Wayne McClure. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Now let's have it. Moving on to item C, recommended addition to add Terry Smith to examination committee. This time the floor will, the board open discussion only, for Terry Smith to be moved to the examination committee. Do we have discussion on that item from the board?
Have you passed the background check?
It is extensive, yes. Any more board discussion? There being none, any public discussion? Any public discussion? There being none, Chair will now entertain a motion for approval for Terry to be moved to the examination committee.
Make a motion, we add Terry Smith to the examination committee.
I have a motion by Trey to approve Terry Smith moved to the examination committee. Do I have a second? I second. Have a second by Mr. Brown. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Moving on to item D, exam reports. Is there any, please review your binder for the exam reports. Is there any discussion or amendments to the examination report?
We had a few issues. We had issues where the exams were in the wrong envelope. And, we had issues where, I spoke to Ashley about it, that there were a few things.
So, we have had a few issues. I did reach out to, NITC. What's happening at those dual exams is that, the exams drawing packet they're being switched. So, for whatever reason. So I've reached out to NITC, I've spoken to Ms. Janelle, so they put some things in play to ensure that, that all of the applicants are receiving the correct exams.
Were all the applicants able to test?
Yes, sir.
Any other discussion about the exam reports? Hearing none, we'll move on to new business. New business. First item up for discussion, Net Shapers online application quote. At this time, we'll open the floor for board discussion only. Do we have a discussion on these quotes?
I guess my only question, Mr. Chairman, I'm looking at what it includes. My question for Ms. Ashley is that as we look, the examination committee, the enforcement committee looks at revamping, will this contract include allowing some type of online complaint submission to the plumbing board if we moved in that direction?
So this is a contract specifically just for online applications and interactive online applications. However, we did do our due diligence and we did actually get a quote on enforcement as well as CPE and interactive to allow, because I know logging in CPE and the way we do our roster can be cumbersome to say the least. So what we did was we did our due diligence and we spent, Diana and I spent, mostly Diana, a lot of time trying to, so on the back end we do have those for you to see what that enforcement interactive would look like and the cost of that. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other discussion from the board? Any other discussion from the board? This time I'll close for the board, open the floor for discussion from the public. Is there any discussion from, there being none, the chair will now entertain a motion for approval or disapproval. Do we have a motion?
I'm assuming this is within this was a budgeted item.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I make a motion to approve the contract.
I have a motion by Trey to approve the online application, second by Terry Smith for approval. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. And the ayes have it. B, public posting of enforcement violations. I believe, Mr. Giglio, this is one of your agenda items. Would you like to speak on it?
Yes, sir. So, we've had some offline discussion about it. Just wanted to bring up to the board, there's been some discussion brought to our attention about not being able to see citations, the public not being able to see citations that this board moves on or looks at, and I guess more or less a lack of transparency regarding citations. So I wanted to bring it up to the full board. My thought was maybe we start by we already have our minutes publicized with the citation appeals. So maybe we just start on the website listing some appeal for those that come before the board for their citation, some information as just as an act of transparency so the public can see what's going on these folks that come before the board and the action that the board takes. It may need to go to committee for a further dive, Mr. Chairman, but I did want to it was an issue that's been circulating, so I wanted to bring it up to the board.
May I comment?
Yes.
I'm a little concerned about differentiating based on whether somebody appealed. So in other words, if you're going to report citations once they're final, either someone paid the fine or an appeal was denied, then that's one thing. But to say it's only gonna get reported if you file an appeal would chill appeal rights. And so I think this is something that probably should go to a committee to have some, or at least we need to think about it a little more and to figure out if there's a way to do it. I would not differentiate on that basis. If you're going to put citations on your site, you know, on the webpage, then I think it would have to be when the citation is final. And that would be, again, I would say when the fine is paid or when the appeal is denied, and it would need to be consistent.
Mr. Chairman, I think this already falls under the scope of what our enforcement committee is looking at comprehensively, so I'll just bring it up for discussion with no action, and we can discuss it further in the scope of enforcement. Thank you, sir.
Do we have any other discussion on this agenda item? So there be no action required, we will not require a vote. All right, very good. Moving on to 4% merit increase for unclassified employees. This is a 4% yearly merit increase for all unclassified employees. This time I'll open the floor for board discussion. So this is a raise for unclassified workers that work within the board. It is a yearly increase. That's basically what it is. Is there any discussion on this item?
Was it budgeted?
Yes, it was budgeted. Any further discussion?
Employees we have? Two.
How many unclassified employees do we have?
So the board's makeup is classified and unclassified. The board does not regulate merit increases for classified. They receive those yearly through the civil service. Unclassified does not, so merit increases come through you all.
How many are active with the board?
Two.
That's for you and Casey, is that?
Myself and the accounting and HR department, yes.
Me.
All right. Any further discussion from the board? Now entertain discussion from the public. Is there any discussion or public comment? There being none, Chair will now entertain a motion for approval or disapproval.
Make a motion approved.
I have a motion from Terry Smith to approve merit increase of 4% for unclassified employees. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Trey Giglio. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. The motion has been approved. 15 board meeting dates for 2025. I think we kind of tackled that a little bit already, haven't we? At this time, we have to go over it. So at this time, board, we'll open the floor for discussion only. We pretty much just discussed what our plans for action on the dates for previous meetings.
Yes, sir, no action necessary.
Okay. Very good. So, is that it? I believe that's it. At this time, the chair will entertain a motion for adjournment.
Make a motion we adjourn.
Terry Smith makes a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Wayne LaFleur. All in favor say aye. Those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Thank you for everybody for attending today. We appreciate y'all's support.